I wanted to address the board today and just to come and see you like I normally do at least a couple of times during the semester, and to basically share with you that we as a student government, I have some concerns about us and the direction that we're moving. Every day that I come to Sacramento City College, I come to see what I have done for Sacramento City College, not just for the students, but the faculty and the staff. I also ask myself, what is my faculty, my staff, and my administrators done to make sure the students are being successful on this college campus, and also working with the faculty, staff, and administrators. And then I look at my division and look at the same thing. Just recently in the same room, we just went through program review of how we begin to look at how we will be successful for the next 3 years. And looking at that process, making sure that we would be able to be accountable to you as students, and accountable to our faculty and staff, and accountable to the community college system as a whole in California. We are expecting the same thing from you, to be accountable to the 23,000 students at Sacramento City College. As I look at the emails that come across the table and that I see, as I look at the many students that come and talk with me, I find out there are problems within student government that we need to address and make sure that we address them appropriately. And when I talk about addressing them appropriately, I'm talking about them with you, with our advisors, and with me if necessary, to be on top of what we're doing. Sometimes I feel like I'm in Washington, D.C., where the Republicans are against the Democrats, or different areas. I also look at the slander that I see coming across my desk of what we're doing with each other. And I don't like it. It doesn't feel like this is what we're in and what we're learning about in student development and in leadership. This is about developing into good leaders. What we're doing right now, I cannot say that I am proud of what we're doing as good leaders. I've had many of you come to my office and say how people within the community, our community, are saying we're not doing anything, or we are not being who we should be. Well, that is a representation of everyone at this table. This is all about developing. It's about all of you developing. I look and see that people say what someone's not doing, or what there are some infractions. But how do we learn how to grow from that? How do we learn how to become good leaders so we won't be like the Democrats and the Republicans that are out there slandering each other with bad words, words that make people feel bad, and then not being able to apologize after things happen in that process? This is a learning process that we're in. And I am hoping that we can move forward and do something as a student government. I've asked several of you across the table for the complete year, what have we done for the 23,000 students at Sacramento City College? And what I would like to see, if there is that listing of all the things we've done, not individually, but what we've done at Sacramento City College, please provide that to me, because I would like to include that in my midterm report of what we've done. And I want to be able to put you guys up to say you're the model of what we need. I'm looking for a solid student government here at Sacramento City College. One of the things that I've asked your advisors to do is now to enforce the rules. If things are not being done, there should be something that happens if something's not being done. For example, the training that people were supposed to go through. Some of that has not been done. That meant letters got sent out to people that I asked them to send out. And it was in reference to people not following through. The only thing that we were looking for was somebody to come to the advisor and say, we can complete this at this time period. And we would have given an extension. That was the only thing that we were looking for, to make sure people were following through. And what we're looking for is to make sure that you're following through, because I'm holding the advisors accountable for what is written in the Constitution, what is written in the bylaws. There will be some leeway, but there can't be total leeway into whatever someone wants to do. We're asking you to function as a student government, not to function against each other. I don't like everybody at Sacramento City College, but I have to work with everybody at Sacramento City College. I can't say I like all of my peers, but I have to work with all of my peers. And I don't send, if you look at my email, and I invite you to look at it, you won't see me slandering anyone. You won't see me citing anyone. But what you will see me is saying, let's meet. Let's have a conversation, and let's include the right people in the conversation. And the right people will always be your advisor, your president, me, and anyone else that should be part of that particular area. We need to work together as a student government because you are the models of Sacramento City College. And if what I've seen come across my desk is an example of models, I can't say that's what I've learned to do in my years of being an administrator or being a student leader. I am looking for you to work together. You have some biases and some unbiases. Put them aside and begin to work and to see what we can do for the 23,000 students at Sacramento City College. And I would love for you to provide a list for the total year of your accomplishments of what you've been doing for the 23,000 students at this institution. Okay? Work together. I'm not looking for somebody to respond to me. I'm asking you to begin to work together. I'm asking you to put your biases aside and begin to work as a unit, as a team, and to develop into the leaders that we know that you can be. If anyone needs to sit down with me and talk with me about how we can progress this or some of the concerns you have, I look forward to it. There are things that we have done throughout the history of Sacramento City College that we just can't wipe away. We just can't wipe them away. If there are some changes that you like to make, there are things that you're doing in your bylaws that allow you to make those changes. If there are things that you don't like, there are things within the bylaws that you can make happen. There are things within the Constitution you can make happen. But you can't wipe away things and make them the way you want them today just because you're feeling that way. Because there are other people that are following you and will be coming behind you. And if you set this as a precedent, it will continue to happen throughout. I'm looking for good leaders. I'm looking for solid leaders. And I know you can be those leaders. And here's the thing. If you can't follow the Constitution, if you can't follow your bylaws, if you can't work with your advisors to work on being good leaders and working together, then you don't need to be around this table. You need to be somewhere else. We have clubs and organizations that can start anytime, any place. Get your president, your vice president, your ballots, and start your own thing. But this is Sacramento City College, and we're held by guidelines. If you don't feel good about what being at this table, and I'm very serious about this and I'm passionate about it, if you don't feel good about being at this table, leave. That's it.
Thank you very much. Very compelling.
He was allowed 8 minutes.
Yes.
I would like to explain.
Are there any other members who would like to address the board during public forum at this time? Yes, Attorney.
My name is Jeffrey Tardigia, and I'm making public comment for this, that tonight I am going to the unmet needs of transit. Probably you're very aware over a year that I am very interested in public transportation. But I will also comment and review to our previous speaker is a year ago when it related to the Constitution, I emailed to the advisors my concerns related to the Constitution at that time. And I'm seeing the evidence of them a year later. At the same time, I will also make the comment to you is that you've seen where I've tried to work with you, and I hope that I have been able to provide some good input, and I hope that, you know, some of the change to see, we will see in the future. And that's my public comment today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tardigia. Are there any other members of the... Yes, Madonna.
I'm going to, a lot of what Michael said is a lot of what I'm going to say. And right now I'm going to start with Article 7 of the Student Senate, which is on page 9 of our Constitution, duties of the Senate. The Student Senate, in accordance with LRCC's policy and regulations and state laws, shall have the following duties. And I'm skipping down to page 10 to J. To follow the Brown Act and other governing documents as applicable. I move forward again to Article 10, which is Executive Officer, Section 5, the Student Senate duties, and this follows under the duties of the President, shall have the power to set all student agendas, which shall be publicly posted no later than 72 hours before the beginning of a regular session of the Student Senate. The agenda must be posted and displayed in a location at Sacramento City College that will be available at all times. With that being said, I'm going to go
What page was that?
pages 9, 10, 22. I'm going to go to the Brown Act because that's one of our governing bodies. And section 54950 is Declaration of Intent and Sovereignty of the Brown Act. And in enacting this chapter, the legislature finds and declares the public commissions, boards, and councils and the other public agencies in the state to exist and aid in the conduct of the people's business. It is the intent of the law that their actions be taken openly and that their deliberations be conducted openly. The people of this state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people in delegating authority do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed so that they may retain control over the instruments they have created. Section 54954.2, agenda posting, again, at least 72 hours before a regular meeting. The legislative body of the local agency or its designee shall post an agenda containing a brief general description of each item of business to be transacted or discussed in the meeting, including items to be discussed in closed session. A brief general description of an item generally need not exceed 20 words. The agenda shall specify the time and location of the regular meeting and shall be posted in a location that is freely accessible to the members of the public. Now I'm going to read one more thing, and this is from the California Ed Code 8930, and this article shall be known and may be cited as the Gloria Romero Opening Meetings Act of 2000, and I'm skipping down to subsection 8930.5. Each legislative body, at least 72 hours before a regular meeting, the legislative body or its designee shall post an agenda containing a brief description of each item of business to be transacted or discussed at the meeting, including items to be discussed in closed session. A brief general description of an item generally need not exceed 20 words. The agenda shall be specify the time and location of the regular meeting and shall be posted in a location that is freely accessible to members of the public. Subsection 89304. Each member of a legislative body who attends a meeting of that legislative body where an action item is taken is in violation of any provision of this article. With knowledge that the meeting is in violation of this article is guilty of a misdemeanor. I read all this to say that we have had numerous violations of the Brown Act. Whether the agenda is, whether we have the meeting or not, the fact that we're in violation, and even if the agenda is posted 48 hours, that's a violation. Just because we don't have a meeting, that does not make you in violation. And I'm going to, just like Michael, I'm passionate too. I'm serious about my job. I'm frustrated. I feel like a slave in a workforce. I have done multiple things. But actually, I'm going to skip and read an email. And this had to do with a JBC meeting that I came here for. And I'm just going to read the email. I'm very disappointed that I was not given prior knowledge of this meeting being canceled. I would have preferred if Mr. Kahanian would have called or even texted me last night that we would not have a meeting. I live all the way in Rancho Cordova, to which I take the bus and light rail train to get here. I arrived on campus at approximately 8:20 a.m. I was then told by Chris Torres that the meeting had been canceled via email. I find it unprofessional that the email was sent to Mr. Torres approximately 8:12 a.m. and then he was asked to notify all JBC members of the meeting cancellation by Mr. Kahanian, to which Mr. Kahanian should have done that himself. And this email I sent to a couple of members of the JBC board and the advisors. How many meetings are we going to continue to violate and or cancel? Because frankly, we are doing our students a great disservice. I am tired of my job duties being hindered by someone's lack of experience, knowledge, etc. I do my job and multiple others to the best of my ability, and I should expect the same in return from the board members. If people do not get themselves together, I suggest they step down from their position. We have yet to do anything as a board for the students, and I will not stand for it any longer. I have always gone above and beyond my duties, and I will continue to do so. Now, the response to that email was this: LaDonya, the meeting was canceled because of my car battery died and I needed a jump. Nothing to do with Brown Act violation. I call false. I was a witness, well, Everybody else is at lobby day. I was here when the JDC agenda was posted, which was 48 hours. I just read from 3 or 4 different documents that the agenda must be posted 72 hours in advance. This is not the first time. This has happened on multiple occasions. And then for somebody to tell me my battery died and I need to jump, that's bullcrap. The meeting was going to be canceled. Oh, nothing to do with the Brown Act. Me and Elohim had a discussion regarding the legality of the meeting, and although we had different interpretations of the law, the meeting was supposed to happen regardless. How do you have a different interpretation when I just read from our own Constitution, I read from the Ed Code, I read from the Brown Act, that the agenda has to be set 72 hours in advance. I don't know how you can misinterpret that. Also, the recommendation from Vice President Cofield was to, the meeting is in violation. And the majority of us are not going to participate in those meetings because, as I read in section 89307, that is considered a misdemeanor. I was really baffled by this email because that was a nonchalant attitude. As Michael stated, we have done nothing. We might have individually, but not collectively as a group. Then there's another thing that I wanted to address is, as far as Michael was talking about letters that people were given. I find it funny that only certain people were given letters. And I polled different groups of people. Only certain groups of people were given a letter. And I'm going to skip down to why, what the reasons were behind people having their seats vacated. And it's per Constitution, Article 13, Section 1, Subsection 7. The officer or member fails to complete any required orientation in a timely manner. If I'm correct, we had orientation on October 28th and November the 2nd. Training is totally different from orientation. Let me see. Another section. Advisors made Article 13, Section 2, Subsection 4. Advisors may declare a seat vacant if the objective criteria provided for within the Constitution is met, and if sufficient action has been taken by the advisor to address performance-related concerns. Now, 3 of these people I know personally. How do you base a performance on people being sick? You cannot. You base performance on if you have done the job yourself, which you have not. If anybody was supposed to be pulled for job-related performance, and I'm going to call it out right now, it should have been the president. I'm going back to Article 10 of executive officers under Section 5 under the president. That he does not post the agenda in 72 hours in advance. That's subsection A of Section 5. He does not. Okay, subsection C says shall have the power by and with the advice and consent of 2/3 of the student senate to make agreements or enter contracts. Every time you talk, Kevin, you talk without the backing of your board. You never once also a part of your job in section G. It shall give the student senate information on the state of the association and recommend for their consideration such measures as the president shall necessary and expedient monthly. We have yet to have.
I'm going to allow 30 more seconds. You're coming up on 10 minutes right now.
Executive meeting that you are in violation of. You have never had a cabinet meeting with your executive officers, and you have yet to give a State of the Union address to the Sacramento City College, which you're supposed to do twice a year at the beginning of each semester. So if anybody is in violation and should be subjected to removal, it should be you, and I'm going to call for it.
Okay, all right. Thank you for sharing. I think it's more beneficial if we continue this discussion afterwards privately because we have already cut
it's
into
publicly. It's not private.
30 minutes of time.
Private about this.
If there are no objections, I would like to move on to appointments and removals. Public comment?
Actually, on public forum, this will be really quick, 2 minutes.
I'll allow 1 minute.
1 minute's fine. A woman came into my office looking to address the student senate. There was no one in the office, so I told her I would take a message for her and tell the student senate myself. She has a class over near building temporary 6, and apparently the bathroom there is always flooded with water. They tell the administration and the janitor's cleaning it up, but the next day it's always filled with water again. I have her contact info and the teacher's name, and I told them I would tell her about it and tell you guys. Hopefully you can do something about it and take it a little farther.
Okay, that'd be great if you could shoot me the information after the meeting.
Building temporary 6. Yes.
Temp 6. If this concludes public forum, and there, yes, Ms. Miller?
I would like to conclude what Ms. Reed began. According to our minutes, we have started late, which means there are more than 3 tardies, which also require removal. In the Constitution, it states that if you have 3 unexcused tardies, your chair can be vacated. Also, in regards to the letters that Mr. Poindexter told Ms. Byer to send out, it says that the Constitution states that training or orientation is a mandatory. According to the Constitution, it says and/or orientation. We have yet to decide on which to interpret and who would be interpreting that. Most of us were at orientation. There's your or. So as far as the training is concerned, also according to our Constitution, the senators provide that. It is required by our advisors for us to do the mandatory orientation and/or training. In duties of the Student Senate, page 10 of 36, Student Senate duties are to provide mandatory orientation and/or training of all new members. The Student Senate, not the advisor. It is required by the advisor. It is required by the advisor. That also goes for K. K members train their members, not the advisors. It's required by you. All right.
Does that conclude your public forum?
Concludes.
Okay, fantastic. If there are no objections, I'd like to move on to appointments and removals. Yes, Mr. Cofield, public forum?
Yeah.
Can you keep it under 2 minutes?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so everybody know I was the former vice president of the Student Senate. I have been removed because I supposedly did not participate in orientations, which Donnie just pointed out I was a participant of orientation and or training. It seems to me that there has been a bias going on in this board, as certain members are receiving letters to be removed based upon constitutional duties, except for the protection of the president, whose job duties have been in question since he's been in office. Those duties have yet to be addressed. So, as LaDanya has said, she is calling for the removal of the president. If I have to be removed upon one constitutional violation per se, the Constitution, then he should be removed for his 16 violations throughout the years since he's been in his office as the president.
If there are no objections, I'd like to go on to appointments and removals. First, I'd like to begin with Part A nominations. Is there any member of the public for the Senate who would like to nominate a student for the Student Senate?
You first.
Yes, Ms. Williams?
I move to nominate L.P. Cofield for the office of Vice President.
Given the fact that the Vice President is an executive chair, it has to become a senator first. I suggest that the motion is making the senator
He's a
initially.
former member of the ASG, they don't need to go through that same process.
And actually, once he knows what he needs to do, and once that's fulfilled, then he can seek reappointment at that time.
I have a point of order.
Point of order.
The
Based on what?
Constitution does not have any punitive regulations in it. There is nothing to stop reappointment in the Constitution. Since everybody likes to throw the Constitution around, there is nothing that prohibits his reappointment.
Is there any paperwork or any white paper you have provided regarding this issue? White paper regarding the issue, some hard copies of the Constitution to show that this appointment can be made?
There's nothing prohibiting it.
Okay. Yes.
Just a couple of comments. I'll backtrack a little bit.
That's why you
Your
don't have a
references
judicial
to the
board.
laws, the Constitution, the bylaws, and those are your governing documents, so you do need to look at those. If you have concerns about a member, a student member of this board, be it Kevin or someone else, you need to go back and look specifically at the accountability panel and how that gets managed.
Really? The accountability
The
is on?
second piece I'll comment on.
Well, the accountability.
Point of order, point of order,
Council
point of
should have
order,
been out.
point of
Really?
order.
Point
One
of
person
order?
speaking at one time.
Really?
Kim was recognized by the chair.
Really? I don't
Point of
care.
order.
Hey, hold on, Kim, hold on, you guys. Really, there's a way to do this. Let's do it the right way, you guys. We have a process. We have rules. Let's do this the right way. Everybody will get a chance to speak. Let's try to do this the right way, you guys. I'm trying to do this the right way.
The motion was for Mr. Cofield to resume his position as the vice president.
I second.
To my knowledge, it is not, however, possible for an executive to hold an executive
I'm sorry,
upon being elected. That is why Mr. Williams has run for senator and pro temp. I thought we had already established this. I feel it would be more beneficial if he joins the board and
Violation.
then goes towards vice presidency next week. You want to finish your
Yeah,
comment?
I'd like to finish my comment. Thank you. If there's a problem or concern with an employee, Chris or myself, I refer you back to your student guide and the grievance process. So there are processes and procedures and ways to handle this. The emails have gone out, not appropriate. The side talk communication, a violation of your own bylaw. So, you all can choose to move forward and appoint somebody who has just been removed. However, that becomes a circular problem.
We had to proceed and
And I'm not sure
Sean.
that's the best direction you want to go in. I think at this point, if Elohim comes and meets with me, does what he needs to do, just as everybody else is being held accountable in the same way, then he can seek reappointment. And I see,
That's in the
nodding
Constitution where?
heads that, these assumptions that people aren't being held equally accountable.
They are.
And they are being held equally accountable.
I was held accountable for one infraction that you say I did not participate in, but I did participate in October and November.
Yeah.
This man right here has violated our Constitution on a constant basis since he's been elected, and it hasn't been addressed yet.
And
But
you
you
can't
want to
say
put
in the
me out,
Constitution
her out,
where
and my
it
son out.
says
for
it's
the
order,
board.
point of
I have a
order.
problem with my family.
One more speaking at a time.
The way you
Point of
guys have
order.
tried to figure it out. But you know what? You guys talk to my lawyer, just
of
like you
order.
talk to his.
Please be
That
recognized by the
was
chair.
public,
Please. Point of order. All right, that was not public. That was.
And you guys are going to be quorum once we can't vote on anything.
You guys will
People
not
need
be
to
formed.
stay in order, or they need to choose to
Point of
leave.
order.
Yeah, we're leaving.
Thank you.
Lawsuit, no action can be taken if you don't make quorum.
That is true. Quorum is 5 people. Yes, Mr. Williams.
I move to reestablish quorum.
Okay. 1,
Second.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 6. Okay. Moving on to nominations. Continuing on. Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate John for